Hi Anna, just a quick look at the stuff we did on your short game during your visit. First of all, we went into the bunker and we had a little look at your two key issues when in the sand. First of all, the swing, the downswing, as seen on the left, is quite a steep angle of attack. So from the top, it's more of a vertical movement. The club comes down very quickly, and the sweet spot of the club is very much out in front of the hands, out in front of you. And consequently it's coming in very steep. When we come in steep, we take the loft off the club and we have no control over it, we have no use of the bounce, so the club's going to dig in the sand very quickly. So we've got a very steep angle of attack. Club's going to come into the ground steep, leading edge exposed, wrist angles start to uncock too fast, and we take too much sand, we hit too far behind the golf ball. So when you're making a downswing, or when you're making a swing in general in a bunker, you want to feel like you're going to come down more like you see here on the red line. So you'd want the club coming down a little bit more here, so that it's not as steep. You got a little bit more loft on it. You got more bounce on the club. Club's not going to dig in the sand as much. And we use the analogy of skimming a rock across a lake, or skimming a stone across a lake. You wouldn't come in steep if you wanted to do that. The action would be more around you rather than up and down. So rather than the arc being sort of like this into and through the golf ball, it would be more like this. So a shallower arc to your golf swing rather than a steeper arc. And then the core skill for you as a bunker player is to learn to hit the line more consistently. Now, that involves certain mechanics, but during your visit we put you in the bunker, we put a line behind the ball every shot, about 2 inches behind, about 5 centimetres behind, and I simply ask you to become better at hitting that line. I could have filled your head with mechanical thoughts as to how to do that, but I didn't think it was appropriate. What I did say is that I want you to, when you go out and practice in particular, is to put a line in the sand and judge your ability, or judge your progression as a bunker player to your ability to hit that line. And it was interesting watching you develop for the sort of 40-45 minutes we were in the bunker. You started off hitting tremendously behind the line and started to progress towards the line a little bit more, and then on occasion you would hit the line perfectly, the ball would come out, you were hitting the line slightly too far behind, again the ball would come out, and you even got to the point where you're hitting too far in front of the line and you were thinning the ball into the face, but your ability to control where the club entered the sand improved quite dramatically in quite a short space of time in the bunker, just by trying to achieve a certain level of expertise, if you will, of quite a simple task, which is just hitting the line a couple of inches behind the ball and allowing the sand to project the ball out of the bunker for you. As we saw there, that entry point was too far back, but it was close enough to get the ball out of the bunker. And it's not about being perfect, it's about moving towards that ideal scenario. So that was the bunker play that we did. I'm just going to get the chipping stuff up now and have a little look at what we did around the edge of the greens for you. When we're looking at the chipping, so shots from around the edge of the green, we try to establish a baseline. So we try to establish a go-to shot that you base all the other decisions around the greens on. And what we identified was that with your pitching wedge, the ball will fly 50% through the air and run 50% along the floor. So basically you're going to try and land the ball halfway and run it halfway. So it's pretty easy to spot halfway, which is great. Much easier than trying to spot, say, 70% of the way. like some of your friends are trying, sorry, 20% of the way, like some of your friends are trying to do, and then roll it 80% with a 7-iron. You can use that shot, but I don't think it's necessarily a very good benchmark. So your benchmark shot is going to be pitching wedge to land the ball halfway and run it halfway. And as you see here, you're going to have your feet about a club head's width apart. So you don't need a wide stance. And the reason we don't want a wide stance is because with a narrower stance, the ball is positioned far enough back from the centre of the arc, which is the lead shoulder, the left shoulder, to allow you to make a descending blow on the golf ball. So it doesn't have to be a severely downward hit, but a gently downward hit without moving the ball too far back in the stance, without pushing the handle too far forward. Therefore you can control the loft on the golf club. So what we don't want to do is take the pitching wedge out for a 50-50 shot, stand too wide, then have to push the ball further and further back in the stance to get good contact. And as a result, instead of having 50 degrees of loft on the golf club to give us a 50-50 scenario, we end up having 40 degrees of loft on the golf club because we've moved the ball so far back, and we don't have that benchmark shot that we want. So we've got feet about a club head's width apart, ball in the middle of the stance, handle slightly forward. So I'd like to see the handle maybe a touch further forward than is being shown here. So handle maybe pointing mid right thigh. And then during the backswing, just allow your wrist to hinge a little bit. One of the things we noticed with yourself is you're very stiff with the wrists, partly because you've been advised to do that, partly because you maybe felt like you didn't really know what the wrists would do. I would say to try and just encourage a little bit of wrist, allow the wrist to break on the way back and then on the way through. Your main goal was to allow the club to engage with the ground. One of the things that you tended to do was pull the club out of the ground about this point. So instead of allowing the club to engage with the ground like you did on that one, just take a little divot, just graze the surface of the grass, you would start to pull the club up very quickly, and that's when you thin the ball along the floor. So your benchmark shot for around the greens, feet about a club head's width apart, ball in the middle of the feet, handle slightly forward, allow the wrist to hinge on the way back just a little bit, and then make sure the club engages with the ground. Previously, when you engaged with the ground, it was too far behind the golf ball, whereas now with the setup change that we discussed, you were able to control the low point, get the ball and the turf, and demonstrated some nice progressions in regards to your overall chipping action. Good luck with it. I've sent you across the images that we did throughout the week, along with the board. Everything that we've discussed, everything that you need to do will be on one of the whiteboards that you've got in the image folder that I sent via Dropbox. So you took the photos on the day as well, so you've got the images there to draw from, you've got the information and the notes that we made, you've got the video recaps. If you've got any questions, anything on your mind, just give me a call, drop me an email, whatever suits you best, and we can discuss that in the coming weeks. Look forward to watching the whole game progress, and hopefully we can meet again in the not too distant future and do some further work on your game. Well done.